Happy New Year.
Welcome to 2022, everybody. It's been a long time coming.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a very, very strange few months. I could tell you that.
Yeah, course of life completely changed massively. Yeah. It's been
for the world, for our country, for our own personal lives. Everything is kind of like
it's been in flux.
Yeah, in all different types of directions. But some things are really exciting. We got a lot of exciting things to talk about tonight, and
our country made it for a year after
January 6th.
Yeah.
For those of you guys out there that don't know anything about January 6th, here is a little recap, okay?
Let's go! Everybody stay down! Get down! Come on! Push!
Yes, this was America a year ago, people.
In the Capitol building.
You know what I mean? It was crazy. One of the most controversial elections in history between Biden and Trump.
Yeah, I think it pretty much topped the cake. I don't think it's one of. I think it is the most controversial, I think, at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, and we're talking about 2020, a year of riots prior, racial injustice. And then we have something like this that basically was an attack on democracy, how our elections are held and, love him or hate him, Trump. I mean, right now they're doing all these type of court cases and whatnot with, was he basically behind inciting these riots? So that's the big question. A lot of people are wondering, like, should we blame the man? I mean, with such power, your words are extremely important.
By the same token, you can apply that to everybody who burned down cities the year before and having governors telling them, it's
peaceful protest.
Stay home, isolate unless it's for a protest, then it's okay. So, I mean, it's the same kind of a thing. I think they're both wrong.
Listen, me bringing this up, this has nothing to do with me choosing a side or because primarily when you think about January 6th, you think of Trump supporters. So me saying this right now, a lot of, possible Republicans or, people that supported Trump are looking at me now like I'm saying something out of pocket. Listen, I'm up and down with both sides. Trust me on that. And if you don't believe me, I got another clip for you.
Granddaughter. Somebody's granddaughter.
And how about Penelope?
Well, Penelope, she's only 2, so I think she'd be happy with just about it.
Oh, that's great.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful that you have a 2-year-old. Well, have a Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful Christmas.
And by the way, you guys have to be in bed by 9 o'clock, and asleep between 9 and 12, or he doesn't show up.
This isn't to you, Jared. This is to the kids.
That's right.
Well, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas.
Yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas as well.
Merry
Christmas, and let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. I agree. Hey, by the way, where are you in Oregon?
Yes, that happened too. So,
to be fair, there is a delay in the broadcast. Like a lot of times with newscasts, there is a delay sometimes, and you're stuck there looking dumb. But
was there a delay, Stefan, or was that our president who's kind of mentally delayed?
Well, I'm not saying his synapses weren't like firing 100%. They definitely weren't.
He said, "Let's go, Brandon." He didn't get it, but man, like I said, I am not for or against, you know, like I have my beliefs,
make
but I
fun of
do
everyone.
when we think about you know, January 6th, we think about how it seemed like a bunch of spoiled brats. We didn't get our way, so now we're going to burn our country down. We're
And
going to go in.
says we run through the hallways.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of conspiracies even about that as we speak. A lot of people are saying, like, you know, those are really Democrats dressed as Republicans, and
Antifa, and then the Antifa say no, it's the alt-right, and the alt-right says it's this, and after a while you begin to wonder, like, who's really worse than it? Like, is there really that much of a difference when you get to the extreme ends of it? Like, you're both doing the same bad actions.
mm-hmm. It's been an interesting 2021 was an interesting year, and we're starting 2022 off with a bang. You know, the inflation rate is at an all-time high. The gas prices are at an all-time high.
You're gonna start being like Emerald after each one of these points, be like, bam, bam.
The divide is greater than ever. I mean, and honestly, I think Biden's support amongst his people has diminished greatly. I mean, his approval ratings are right there. I think they're below Trump's now. It seems like even like they wanted him in just because they didn't want Trump, but now it's like we got that guy in office, and it's a scary situation.
They need to fix. This is going to keep happening unless they fix the basic underlying problem of basically rigging who the candidates are going to be before you even have a chance to choose. Like, it's not 100% rigged, but like I'm not saying that to say like they're actually like doing anything illegal, but I'm saying the way they do the whole system, where they start off in the most biased states, go to the ones that are most populist at the end of the campaign run, the entire time bashing each other, spending massive amounts of money, which is generated by super PACs who are then pushing them to make certain laws. Like, there's a whole bunch of extraneous factors that don't need to be there. But the way it's supposed to be is you're supposed to vote. Your electoral college is supposed to vote based on the votes of the state, which apparently they don't have to. And that was cool when we couldn't read. But, you know, more people can actually have a little bit of intelligence in there.
It's a sad reality, though, about money, because money is what gets these politicians going. Whatever, you know, whoever endorses you, you know, whatever political party endorses you and throws you to the top. And, you know, that's the reason why we all know Biden as president, is because, you know, he was the vice president under Obama. Obama had, you know, pretty good years in office. Am I saying that's controversial? Me saying that, probably people are going to throw apples at me. But, you know, given the fact, I mean, it was still he was a wartime president as well. But
Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. But beyond that, he was a wartime president, you know, and there was also flaws with him as well. But Biden was vice
before
president.
that, we had hello, I'm from the South.
Yeah, it's always something. It's always something, you know. But it was a sad day in history, January 6th, and I think in the history books we need to remember and kind of punish people with the utmost of the law for committing acts. These are acts of treason.
They are. And I think the other thing is also taking into account like the message that it sends to everybody and also to ourselves. Like, you're running in and ransacking the Capitol like a bunch of ogres. Like, I don't care what side you're on. At that point, you're just vandalizing the Capitol building and making us look like idiots. You're scaring people and getting people killed.
When I first saw the news when it was happening a year ago, it actually felt, because I remember we did a podcast shortly after this last year. We talked about it last year, but now it's a year of reflection. We're seeing, you know, what happened a year ago and all the different things that come out. A lot of these people that were in the videos taking selfies, fools, are now in prison for years for that one moment.
Even walking to the building without being on camera, let alone putting yourself on a selfie.
Well, they were, you know, recording themselves. Like, the guy had his feet up on like senators' desks while.
I mean, if you're going to get arrested, that's one way to do it.
Yeah, but he was reading their mail, like opening their mail and reading it. Like, dude, you're freaking nuts. And, you know, I guess for their revolution, because it felt like when we were watching the news, we were watching a civil war. That's
yeah, it felt like when we saw Ukraine bugging out a couple of years ago in Kiev, like when they were like having the riots and like the police lines and stuff. It was like, how many more things are going to go completely foobar before it all falls apart? And then it kind of slowed down and things kind of went back to normal, except everything went into hyper censorship mode. And yeah, it's been a really weird freaking year.
Listen, I am optimistic about 2022. It feels like,
I am.
You see a lot of crazy, stuff over the year, and now we're at the point where like we felt like we've seen it all. Yet every time you feel that way, something even crazier happens. And that's a good part of this podcast. We're talking about keeping on a positive path. I mean, we're going to get to that topic a little later on. We still have a few more things to touch on, but keeping on a positive path, that even embracing, because for a while, you and I, we had discussions like, man, our podcast, we talk about some dark topics.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to stay relevant and talk about the issues that are happening in the news. But instead of avoiding them, I think we need to embrace them and think of ways to uplift these situations and maybe educate, having these thought-provoking conversations, I think, are the most important.
Yeah. And just getting people to remember that you can discuss things without having to come to blows over it or hate each other. Hey, Mom. My mom just tuned in.
Thank you for watching.
Definitely was a big blight on our history because the other thing that was weird, it was like watching everything get turned on top of its head last year, is how like things that used to be okay were not now. Like the thing, I don't even know how. We'll come back to that. I'm not sure how I was going to phrase that.
I definitely get what you're coming from. A lot of things that we're, it's kind of like people's belief system. People believe now like their opinions are law and they're fact. Yeah. When there's two sides of a story and people couldn't kind of outreach to the other side of the aisle and be like humane in a way.
Yeah,
it's happening now. I see so many things, even on a minute level. Think about the singer Lizzo. She's, this beautiful Black woman, she's out there singing all these uplifting tunes about being proud and stuff. But she just posted a video recently where she posted a live stream saying, I gained weight and like extreme amounts of weight. And she's proud of that. And at the same time, she's kind of endorsing to young people that look up to her that it's okay to be morbidly obese. And we all know what comes with that. Diabetes, heart issues, like
it's complicated because, growing up as a fat kid, yeah, definitely like it would have been nice if not all of the stars were, pencil thin, like, built with muscles and like testosterone, like machines, basically. And then you're sitting there like, I want my Cheetos. It's not the best feeling in the world. But at the same time, you can't go the opposite extreme, which is what I agree is kind of what they're doing, where they're like promoting getting fat, like promote loving yourself. Don't promote the act of gaining weight. Promote the fact that yes, you may be heavy, but you're still a beautiful person, and that there are things, but for your own health, you want to change it.
Well, that's the thing too. Like one of my favorite comedians of all time is Chris Farley, and he was extremely overweight. Oh, yeah. And he endorsed it. He used it to his he used that to the best of his advantage. He went out there making fun of himself, and behind closed doors. I mean, when a lot of people talk in interviews, his biography, he was extremely depressed. It led him down a path of drug addiction and hookers and all types of horrible things, gambling. Yeah. And he was really like sick of himself and stuff like that in a lot of conversations he had. But I don't like to see that either. You want him to like promote himself. But like I said, there's always like people can't agree on anything now. They're like ripping her apart. People are totally ripping apart Lizzo now because of the whole idea that she's promoting being morbidly obese to people. I mean, self-love, and then there's self-love, I think, that might go too far.
I think there's been part of it is the whole selfie nation culture behind it. Like, and we're all guilty of it. Like, constantly like, like I remember when that first started happening, it was a really weird phenomenon. And then they came out with like the selfie stick. You're walking down the city and be like, selfie stick, $5, selfie stick. Like everybody's selling it on the street corner. But now, like, you live, and myself included, you live your life through your phone largely, especially during the pandemic when we were all locked up. So like it became like this way of everybody showing that they still exist and getting their voice out there, which in a way is kind of cool. But when you start just saying stuff to meet a trend that's happening, that's where it becomes problematic, because then you're saying ignorant crap for no reason.
Mm-hmm. You see it all the time. People do it for the clout. That's what they're doing it for. Like they're saying controversial things. They're bullying people. Here's the one I hate the most. I know we're jumping all over the place, but that's what we do on the Thursday Exchange. We jump all over the place.
Yeah, we're rusty.
The one thing that I cannot stand is when people do charity work, like they record themselves handing like $100 to a homeless person. Like, do it behind closed doors, because you're humiliating the person.
Yeah.
Have a little dignity. Like, you don't need to like
give a tax write-off. That's all it is for them. And
you don't need to walk up to a homeless man and give him a pair of like the newest Jordans and like hand him a candy bar. Like it's just,
or if you do, you don't have to videotape it.
That's what I'm talking about. The video, like I'm all for supporting people and giving that, but doing it in that type of way, it takes the charity out of it entirely.
Yeah. And like, there is the argument that, doing charity in some ways is selfish, but in a good way, I think, because it makes you feel good. But when you're doing it just for the publicity stunt, it's like, it really doesn't make much of a difference if everybody knows you're full of shit.
I got really into that topic for a while, like where I was watching a lot of videos and documentaries.
You did an episode on it, remember?
Yeah, homelessness in America, and how there was this big there was a school that actually did it, where they had their kids, instead of going on a field trip to like Washington D.C. or to like Florida or something, they did every year. They did a trip where like it was like over the weekend, where the kids would be homeless, and it was in like a controlled setting, so it wasn't as bad.
Homeless, or they would go help the homeless?
No, the kids would be homeless, where the kids would have like sleeping bags, and they would have like a little knapsack of food, but actually no food. They would have just like a sleeping bag, and it was in a controlled environment where they slept, and their parents would come with the trip with them if they wanted to. Otherwise, there were chaperones, and the only food they could eat, they would have to find as part of like going to a food pantry or a shelter, and that's how they had to live
in the woods and got myself some fresh shit.
Yeah, but these were like in the inner city, so like I thought it was a really cool example. I don't know why I talked about it, but I just think like sometimes you have to experience like that type of poverty and lifestyle,
like Scared Straight.
Yeah, like Scared Straight, like homeless edition. I mean, it sounds messed up, but
I think a better option would be just like have the kids go volunteer at a shelter, because you're going to get in there and you're going to see all kinds of people. You're going to see people who are executives who are, maybe their mortgage went out. Like I used to volunteer at the warming station in Middletown with my mom. And like some of the people there, I'm like, I could so totally see myself in your position after talking to you. Like listening to what happened to you, like is not that much different than what happened to me. Just a couple of key things that caused the bottom to fall out. And then you're the one in the shelter and I'm the one here volunteering. It could have easily been the other way around.
There were so many of the documentaries I watched, and a lot of these homeless people had really good paying jobs and they were really stable relationships. And then something happened where like, they, them and their spouse split up, so they couldn't afford the bills or got kicked out, or, they got a medical bill that screwed them over to the point where they were on the streets. And a lot of the reality was a lot of these people were saying like, you're all like a paycheck or two from being exactly where I am today.
How many times have we both been in that situation over the past year?
Well, dude, like right now, and that's important for people to understand, that we live in a time that, you're really not in a one income household anymore. And if you are, you're lucky. It's very challenging to pay your bills. And I get in arguments with people all the time. We'll get a better job or go to school for this. Well, things cost money. And sometimes
it's also depends on where you live too. Like right now I have a job that's paying well for the first time in my entire adult life. That's actually paying a decent amount. And that only happened after all the other crap that happened over the past 12 years of working through one crap job after another for way too little pay, way too much stress. Like, it's I think people are starting to realize that they have to pay their employees a little bit more now than they used to.
Well,
It's just common sense. You can't live on what you were earning.
Well, right now it's too, like a lot of the salaries they're being boosted, right? But they're being boosted by like pennies, and
they're adding a couple cents onto your paycheck every week is not really a big help. Like,
and they're adding these like incentive bonuses if you're there for a certain amount of time for staff retention. That's the big thing that actually came out, I believe, this week. Governor Hochul, basically, she put out a plan as far as a lot of healthcare workers to have staff retention and to get new staff, like staff employment, because we all know what happened with the vaccine mandate, which, I have the vaccine. I know you do. But when they've mandated it to a lot of the healthcare workers, they lost a big percentage of their staff.
That's why they had to supplement with the military.
Mm-hmm. And right now they're in a situation where I'm reading that a lot of the hospitals are at full capacity.
Yeah, I just found out that they broke out like the refrigerated morgue tents again and all that stuff.
It's bad. In the area I live in a really small area. They say the COVID death numbers now are at 107. That doesn't sound like much, but I live in a small town, so like there's a good chance that
we had like 60 during the swing of the worst like wave of it in New York. Like, I mean, there were more than 60, obviously, but it really has gone up.
Mm-hmm. And speaking about that, with the masks and everything, there are still people out there. Now, I'm going to tell you right now. Let me just dial back a little bit. A few weeks ago, my focus is weird. A few weeks ago, I was feeling like real crap. I was hacking my guts off. I felt like I had a predator that was going to bust out of my chest. Like I could not stop hacking my guts out.
And we were supposed to hang out that day too.
Yeah. I had a severe fever. I felt like I was really having a hard time breathing. So that morning I, called work. I was like, listen, I hate to do it, but I'm not going to be in today. I got to get tested. And what do you know? I had COVID. So for over 2 years working in the medical field, hands-on with people who had COVID and stuff like that, without the vaccine, I was, lucky and I didn't get it. And then about 3 weeks after the vaccine, I had gotten COVID. And a lot of the conversations I had with people around that time, a lot of people got the booster, got COVID the next day. And I'm not saying that they're giving us COVID, but I'm saying it's just like ironic that I got COVID. And the experience was shit. So what I could tell you is it was unlike any experience I've had before. And I've had the flu, I've had other bronchitis and stuff like that. It was different. It felt like I had a weight on my chest. It really felt like you were in a way suffocating. The congestion was extreme. Like when my forehead, like it felt like your head was going to hit the floor. Like that's what kind of congestion I'm talking about. Yeah. And there's people out there that still don't believe it's real. And people, believe it or not, I know got quarantined after me for having COVID. We're walking around in Walmart without masks on. Like I've seen people, I'm like, wait a minute. They just posted on Facebook that they tested yesterday. What are they doing in Walmart with their kids and everything unmasked? To me, that's irresponsible. Beyond irresponsible, it's criminal. That's my opinion. If you're walking around without a mask on,
if you know that you're sick, let's make that clear.
If you know you're sick, which they did because they posted it, and people knew, what were you doing out in public? That's what goes on in my mind. It's like, how irresponsible.
When you take your political ideals too far, that's when it becomes like, yes, you have your right to choose whether or not you want to wear a mask until you're sick. When you're sick, you shouldn't even be out. You should stay home.
Mm-hmm. It really is a freaking joke with some people, and I think they're all thinking it's a political agenda. Oh, these are the Biden things. People forget, whatever side you're on. This all started during the Trump administration years. This wasn't like something new. This isn't something new. Right now, we all thought, and going back to our very first podcast, why we started basically was the pandemic. Like, we wanted to reach out to people. In the beginning, we were told this was going to be about 2 weeks. That we were all, and you know what's funny? Not funny, but had we all stayed quarantined for that 2-3 weeks at the time in the beginning, we probably wouldn't be in the situation we're in now. Just think about how selfish that really is now.
That's what I said in the very beginning. I said, you can't have a situation where, and I understand constitutionally in our country, because of the state rights issue and because of the laws of the different regions and stuff, everybody has their own jurisdictions. It makes it politically a nightmare to make a mandate for the whole country, which since then has seemed to not be a problem. Because we have so many mandates coming out that I don't even know which mandate's what anymore. But when this all happened, like, you had some states that were saying, okay, we'll do exactly what we want. Had some people who were like going draconian, like LA was like going nuts. New York City shut down really hard because we were the epicenter. And then you had other places that are like, just come on in, have a party, let's school. And then like the numbers were completely opposite of what we expected. Mm-hmm. And so everybody started moving to those places that welcome people. Then they started getting hit. So it's like one big,
in the very beginning, there should have been more of a lockdown as opposed to now. Now we're going past the 2 year, we're going into the 2 year mark. Yeah. And it's, you know, we're all getting tired, but I think it's because of the people that really are, they're selfless. A lot of these people, you know, or selfish, I should say, not selfless.
Here's the thing. Like, this year I've been very conflicted because like I've been always somebody who's gotten my vaccines like throughout life. Like, I've gotten my flu shot every year, done all that. And I understand and I agree that it's not my place to force anybody else to put something in their body that they don't want. Given that there are caveats, if you don't want to get the vaccine, then you either have to isolate or wear a mask. Like, there are things like that. But basically, that's how it was before the pandemic started. And then making all these new rules, it like gave people the ability to lord it over others. So it's like when you start seeing, and on top of, I know I'm being a little bit scattered right now. When you see how everything is from the government, they tell you one day, wear your mask. The next day they tell you, don't wear your mask because you've got vaccinated. Then the day after that, Fauci's wearing 2 masks. And it's like, wait, what are we doing here? And now we're all vaccinated, and the vaccine actually doesn't give you immunity, which was what we thought it did. It just gives you...
It's confusing.
Like, I don't know what to believe anymore at this point, and I'm a medical professional, and I know that masks do work in certain situations. I know that, like, when we worked in the nursing home, we got hit by Hurricane Sandy. Okay, we lost power for 3 days. We had a couple of people who had communicable disease. I don't know if it was flu or if it was shingles or what, but there were a couple of people that had communicable diseases, and we managed with bottled water and hand sanitizer and masks and separating people to not spread it around to the other 200 patients in a place that had no problems going on, despite not having electricity. Yet now, all of a sudden, we've all done what we're supposed to do. We all got our vaccine. We all did everything. And now immunity is not immunity anymore, and we have to go back to work. Like, I don't get it. What's true?
I don't have the knowledge myself. I don't believe what I'm told necessarily all the time either.
I don't.
You know me. In the beginning of this, like, I was refusing to get the vaccine. I was scared. I'm nervous. I still have my questions. About what I put in my body. But it was kind of being pushed in a way, and it was kind of being stuffed down my throat. So I did what I thought was right. I got it. But then as soon as I did, I'm hearing things out there around the world, well, you know, with Fauci primarily, where he is discussing the idea of being fully vaccinated. Well, we need to redefine what that means. And that kind of scares me, because are you going to redefine it where the booster? Okay, we'll add the booster. Is that a slippery slope to how many boosters? And I keep on hearing the argument, well, you know, with the flu shot, you get it every year. Well, I just got 2 shots that affected my body way different than any flu shot ever did. And what will this booster do? And it's only very soon after this shot. You know what I mean? Like, how many am I going to take? That's
I'm
where I'm
scheduled
at.
to get my booster on Wednesday next week, and to be honest, I'm nervous about it because I know that while I've been lucky, I didn't have any reaction other than a sore arm. I also, at the same time, know a lot of people who had really bad reactions to it, and then the amount of people that have gotten it since. And I know it's supposed to lessen the symptoms or the severity so that, so it's still worth getting is what the argument is. But my question is we're not talking about, or it's not even a question. We're not even talking about a normal vaccine. Like we were talking about this the other night. When you have a vaccine, from what I understand, and I'm not a doctor, so keep that in mind. But from what I understand, like when you make a vaccine to a virus, normally it's to the whole virus. Like you were creating something that created antibodies to the whole thing. But with the mRNA virus, you're creating an antibody to just a spike protein, which forces, after you basically give that to everybody, the food supply for that virus is gone. It forces it to go into evolutionary change quicker, which is why you get a variant. And if you just keep on attacking that one component rather than the entire virus, you're literally just going to have like a string of these boosters. That's my concern, is that like people, it's not a normal vaccine, which is why it's not working the way they normally do. Does that mean we have to redefine vaccines?
Yeah, well, that's my fear, because I heard already in California, I don't know if they passed the law already, where a lot of places are requiring the booster, just like they were requiring the vaccine, they're requiring the booster for people to keep their jobs.
My job, I have to get it if I want to go back here too.
Yeah, so that's a slippery slope that I'm fearful of. The vaccine was one thing, but now you're talking about every other shot that they necessarily, as we can see,
and apparently they have a variant now too after Omicron.
Yeah, so like I said, a lot of people. Oh yeah, so you're talking about the booster shot.
Like I said, I had a sore arm. That was it. My brother-in-law, on the other hand, he got sick. I know other people who were out flat for a couple of days.
With me, I had weird cramps throughout my body that were like really bizarre, like cramps that I never had. People were like, oh, maybe you had them before. Well, no, like I had like leg cramps that were really weird. I was sitting here like massaging my calves days after, and it was weird. It was like, what's happening here? But enough about this subject. We can go on all day about it because we're all living it, and we all experience it. But I just thought it would be interesting to kind of correlate our own experiences, because I know you had a few with COVID.
Yeah, I mean, during this Christmas break it was a little bit scary because I kind of felt like I was playing dodgeball with the virus, because I'm supposed to hang out with you. You call me, say, by the way, I got COVID. So I was like, okay, dodged that one. Left my job 2 days after I left. Somebody got sick, and then it spread around. So I've been home from work for 2 weeks because, they're on lockdown. And then the day before Christmas, I find out that my mom and my brother-in-law have it. My niece had it recently. I went to my friend's house the week of Christmas. The day after I left, they had somebody come to visit. Turns out that person had COVID, so they all got COVID. I'm going from one of them, like, I'm afraid to leave.
To add to that, without scaring people, like I was talking to my father about it. My father's got like ill health. He had a lot of surgeries, back surgeries, whatever. Diabetic. During this time, I was afraid to go near him. Even after the fact, I'm still like, I'm not contagious per se. I'm at work. I wear the mask, whatever. But you think of that in the back of your head. I mean, what I experienced with the breathing issues with COVID. If I was, I don't know, in my 70s, 80s, I don't think I would have made it. And not saying like I was dead, but it was hard to breathe. Yeah. It was kind of scary, like it was hard to breathe. I did lose taste and smell, but if I was 80 years old, how would I have, done that? My body, how would it have fought this
It's
virus?
like the flu is designed to kill the younger people more, and like COVID is designed to kill older people. I'm not saying it's designed by anything. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like that's how it manifests.
What I'm saying on this program here tonight, for those that will watch it in the future, wear your freaking mask. Care about your neighbor. I'm not telling you to get the vaccine, but what I am telling you to do is be conscientious. If you know you're sick, then this happened on Christmas Eve. My fiance and I were in a local diner, and I had COVID the weeks prior, and I finally got out. You know, we went shopping. It was the last day we could get everything done for Christmas, and we're in a local diner, and there's a woman there, like snot's running out of her nose, sneezing, hacking her guts out. She looked gray. We took our food and we got right out of there. How dare you? I'm sorry. Like, you know you're sick. Get it to go.
Yeah, my thing is with the whole mask thing, like if some people choose not to wear it, I'm not going to argue with them, and I don't want people to feel like they need to lord it over other people by, you know, saying like shame on you, like that. Unless you're in that situation where if you know you're sick,
and even if you don't have COVID, you're sick.
Yes, this is how it's always been the same. Like even at work, like if you know you're sick, you stay home.
But this is the problem with employers. We jump into that topic.
You're not allowed to.
From history, from the beginning of history, as
I've
far
had many
as
jobs that forced me to work when I had bronchitis.
Yeah, you know how many times I would try to call up like, I'm not feeling good, and they'd be like, "Get to work. I don't want to hear it." All right. And you come to work and you get all the other employees sick. They didn't care back then until
I worked
COVID.
at a wedding hall and I had bronchitis, was coughing my lung up for 2 weeks. And I finally said to them, like, I need to take off. And they're like, no, you need to keep working. I'm like, well, I guess I need to quit.
Yeah, like that's why our brains are working. Even today, I had a conversation with my boss. I'm like, you know, because all these new things are coming out, all these new rules and regulations about what we're supposed to do during COVID, as far as like, you know, if you see this symptom, if you have the symptom, you can't come to work. I'm like, well, what if I generally have a backache or something that's non-COVID related? Well, technically, that's COVID related too. It's like, well,
no, it's not.
Well, everything is. If you really look at the symptoms now, they're getting grander. They're longer. Like the lists, because now this is the new thing that's going on around New York State. If you have allergies, that's no longer a passable excuse. You still have to get tested. Like if you have symptoms of allergies, you have to get tested. So that changes a lot for people that have allergies seasonally or
the problem is that people are making policies that they're not fully investigating. Like they're making different policies for different things, and they're all like conflicting with each other. And then they're just saying, well, no, now it has to be this way. It's like, can you find out the actual truth? Like, what is it? What do we got to do?
That's what it is for me. But, you know, we can go on this topic. So I'm going to end it with this video here, this topic, before we go on to the next. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Bear with me and enjoy.
We're learning more about the woman at the center of that disturbing clash on a plane. Patricia Cornwall was arrested for allegedly hitting and spitting on a 69-year-old man. So, who is she? Cornwall now works as a realtor, but she used to be a Raiderette cheerleader. She's also a former actress who appeared on Married with Children and Baywatch under the name Patty Breton.
You won the bikini contest in Palm Springs last year.
The criminal complaint obtained by Inside Edition says the clash started when Cornwall was returning from the bathroom and found the beverage cart blocking the aisle. The flight attendant asked Cornwall to find an open seat until beverage service was complete.
Sit down, Karen!
Cornwall and the elderly passenger, Russell Miller, then go at it over masks.
Mask up! Mask up!
When he calls her a rude name, the police report says Miller.
You can't make this stuff up.
She's wearing a mask and she's telling the other person to put a mask on.
She spit in his face and then tells him to mask up. You can't make this stuff up, people. But yeah, he called her a Karen and she slapped the shit out of him and spit on his face and tells him to mask up after that. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, people. Wear your freaking masks.
Or just
social distance.
act like adults and don't spit at each other. Like we stopped that in second grade.
And this is time and time again. I've been seeing stuff like this, like mainly on flights. I don't know what it is, but I think it's like the collage of people from different areas that
It's
are
also the fear factor because everybody's afraid with the virus being in an enclosed space. Then you have the whole terrorism thing that adds fear to it. And then you have the irritation of being around people who are just obnoxiously ignorant and tempers flare.
Mm-hmm. So with all that grossness of getting spit on, I got one last video and then we'll go on our topic of the night. And this guy I'm about to show you, they call him the Liver King. He eats raw food, bone marrow. He doesn't believe in brushing his teeth. He wants to believe in going back to your ancestral roots of what our ancestors did thousands upon thousands of years ago. And when I tell you,
was the dentist.
yeah, well, I'll tell you what. Look at this guy's body. Are we doing something wrong here?
Liver King here. It's not quite dinner time, but it is snack time. And while this isn't the most delicious snack, it is a sure as hell nutritious snack. I'm gonna take a huge bite out of these testicles. All I did was remove the membrane here. You can see the other membrane's fully intact. Here we go. Wait for it. Not spitting anything out.
You said wait for it, like we were supposed to like really just sit there and be like, did he just, he said wait for it, like
What gets me is
yeah,
that with his beard, he looks like a little dwarf, like, and then he's got freaking Hulk Hogan He-Man body with veins sticking out and sunburn everywhere and sucking on some bull balls.
The thing that's really hilarious about it is, I mean, the dude's jacked. I'm giving him that. But at the end of the day, eating raw meat is dangerous. Not brushing, like he said, like
there are ways to do it that it's safe. Like you can get it to a certain point where you can be reasonably certain. Like they have like things where you have like I forget what they call it.
Yeah, some raw meat, but this dude's eating raw testicles and intestine.
I mean,
bone marrow and stuff. Like he has his family. His family's all eating it too. This guy, I don't know if he's
okay.
He's doing something all right, but when you talk about going back to your ancestral roots, the thing that goes to my mind is like our ancestors didn't live that long. What they was like living to 40 was like living to 85 back then. Like they didn't live very long. They died in their 20s, 30s. Like
you got a cavity and you ended up dead.
Yeah, like I don't know, but
like, what is he brushing his teeth with? Like manure?
He has listen, look up his videos because I do just because I'm like, man, like, how do I get a body like that? Do I have to eat some bull balls?
I don't look. I'm not opposed to trying them. I've heard that they can actually taste pretty good, but I can't say I would seek them out, let alone eat them raw. Like it's just really not my cup of tea. I'll stick with sushi.
But anyways, so I thought I would show that video just because.
Thank you for that disturbing bit of trash.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? I've been seeing it. This guy's all over. He's viral, so I figured, it's current events. This guy's he's a big deal, apparently.
He's like a Jack Garden gnome.
Yeah. So we're talking about staying positive, staying on a positive path, and I think it's really important with all this negativity. We've been talking about craziness for the past 44 minutes. But there comes a time where you need to find what is happiness to you. Now, we've talked about this many episodes ago, but even when you find happiness, it's about staying consistent on that path. And with the both of us, even with this podcast, it's brought us a lot of joy, a lot of good conversations and stuff. And we became so overwhelmed with a million other things going on that we kind of like, I don't want to say we put it on the back burner, but we did. We did. We had too much.
I did the same with mine. Like I'm going to be restarting mine soon as well. But, sorry to go on a tangent on you there. Like the paradigm shift embracing creativity on Monday nights. At my job where I'm at right now, I'm staying there during the week, and there's no internet service to really speak of, let alone I get cut off just making phone calls. So there's no live chat like this. That's not a possibility. So I'm going to have to pre-record and release videos. So I I am coming back with that as well. But same thing as this, like just kind of like, I don't want to let it go down the toilet,
Well, absolutely. And I think what it was too, when we're staying on a positive path, it was about what happiness is and what you want. And when we were doing the show, that we were like, I don't even know, we did a lot of them. We did like 50 something episodes. So our first season has got a big plethora. We're still trying to upload and download them onto YouTube so you could watch them from the beginning if you want to watch them all. But the thing is with us is we were like, are we doing shows that matter to us? And for the most part, we were. But we did a lot of things also that we didn't like. Like, the whole point is of rebranding the show to a show that speaks to the current times. And we talk about important issues.
Enjoyable for us to do as well, because
that's what it's about.
Yeah, if it just becomes stressful, like looking up like current events and stuff like that, like it ended up just feeling like a homework assignment. It's like we all see current events every day. Like, I mean, we live in current events. If you don't see it on the news, you're going to hear it on the radio. If you don't hear it on the radio, you're going to see it on YouTube. You're going to see it somewhere. So being able to just kind of have it be more free for, it gets a little scattered, unfortunately, but I think it's more fun that way.
Yeah. It's, keeping a base of what you like to do and relative. I mean, there was times I found myself like, man, we got to interview such and such, and we really got to like put forth a lot of effort to give them an interview. But at the end of the day, I don't know if that's what the viewers that are watching live or even in Aftermath want to see. Like, yes, if we have a guest on, and I don't regret any of the interviews we did in the past, but if we have a guest that comes on in the future, they could join the conversation. Like, just like we're doing now, we're conversating, we're talking about things.
We'll bring them on like in the beginning rather than, because otherwise they sit there going like, what, am I just waiting here? Like,
well, because we were interviewing them as if they were walking out on a talk show. And the truth of the matter is, you and I aren't talk show hosts. We're conversationalists.
I'm sitting in my bedroom. You're sitting in your like library office. So I mean, no show here.
That's how professional we are. But I mean, I like to have fun with it. So like, for people wondering what is the future going to hold for the Thursday Exchange, it's going to be a lot more lax, a lot more laid back, but also we're going to talk about issues that matter to us, and we're going to hold nothing back, because when you have a lot of different guests with their own points of view, which is fine if they want to, debate or have a critical conversation, and we're okay with that, but we're going to be a lot more honest on this version of the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, we weren't, I think it's just going to be more like natural, to be honest, like just not as scripted. And the other thing that we were going through at the time was that when we put it on hold was kind of both of us, we were going through a lot of different things. I know for myself, like my whole world got flipped upside down, like everything. Lost my car, lost my job, lost my license, because, a whole bunch of stuff. And it's, luckily I landed on my feet, and it was a really rough time. And then the idea of having to come up with like a podcast every week plus my own show, I was like, I just need to take a break from everything. I need to back off. Because it was just too much going on. And I know for you, like you had the film festival, that alone was a huge undertaking. So
the premiere, I think the last time that we actually did a podcast was in early September. That was right before I did the premiere of Oath to Injustice, which, by the way, was a great success. We had a lot of people show up. It was a lot of fun. I can't wait. We're currently submitting it out to film festivals, but it's a lot of work. I'm in the process. I mean, Stefan and I right now are in the process of working on pre-production of Mantra, which is the next big project, feature-length film that I'm working on. And, I'm also balancing a film festival as well for the near future. And, it's a lot of work. But one great thing about the podcast is, beyond you learning new things and discussing topics or just venting in a way, it helps kind of put you on like in a situation, if you're doing this consistently, to always have to announce something. And it puts you kind of like in your ambitions in line. You have to reach a goal by a certain time, and you're constantly moving. And I think when like you do that to yourself, it helps you move forward. So
big time, because like, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anyone has like interesting topics they want us to discuss or go over, or current events they'd like to bring up, we're all ears. We're all interesting.
Yeah, just pop it in the comments. And for me, like, we were just having this conversation the other night about like, with the movie and everything, about how you're really excited with it. And then for me, like I said, I landed on my feet. I ended up getting a really good job and was working outside, basically designing a garden, doing landscaping work, which is all stuff that I love, like teaching myself step by step along the way, because some of the work I've never done before. So I'm like literally YouTube University style, like, how do I do that? And, was able to pull it off and get really excited about it. And that gave me something to look forward to every day. And so now, like, I'm also working in the kitchen with that job. So it's like, it gives you something to look forward to. But beyond that, I still was going out and making videos of like me going for hikes or doing like photo shoots of just like artistic things, because you have to have that thing that you're passionate about, but that structure really makes that helps a lot with the positivity aspect of making you not like lose your mind. Because being home for just the 2 weeks now because of the outbreak at my job, like I'm like all scattered because I have no routine. It's just driving me nuts.
For me, staying on a positive path really is the word routine. If I could sum it up, it's a routine. And now I'm not talking about monotonous work team, wake up in the morning, eat breakfast, go to work, get some sleep. I'm talking about, doing things that you enjoy on a routine basis, whether that's a hike, writing something. I got to get back into, like, I was planning to do like a poem a day, and, seeing what I come up with over a certain amount of months to see if I come up with some quality material.
For me, I've been making sure to get outside at least once a day, preferably to hike, but if not, just to go sit by a river or something, just get outside. Even when it's like butt ass cold or raining, I'm like, you're going out.
Absolutely. Like, dude, it's what it is. I mean, for the past few months, everything's been scattered. But ever since we've really been getting deep into the pre-production stages of Mantra, I found myself, consistently we're talking to new creatives. We're thinking of new ideas and concepts. We're building sets. We're ordering costumes. There's so much to do. Like, it's overwhelming. Yeah. But it's a routine of excitement. It's like every day, it's like you're putting a piece of the puzzle together, and every time once you reach like the first day on set, it's one achievement. The final day on set, it's another. Then like you get like this wave of excitement when it's getting on the editing room floor, like putting it together and seeing what the movie has become. And then right after it premieres, the moment it premieres, you automatically, there's like a feeling of like a gut-wrenching drought. Like you're like, it's over. So like I'm that type of person that's always got like a second and third plan so that it hopefully stays up. And I try to do that after Oath to Injustice premiered. But there was just so much going on at that time. Yeah. That it was really hard to stay, I was positive, but it was like, it's an overwhelming feeling when you go from such a high to such a like, all right, well, that just happened. So now I got to like build myself up. Now what?
Exactly. You pulled yourself up. And that's the main thing. Like last year around this time, I was in a pretty dark place. So like I was going through depression. So this year when I started feeling a little bit of that, and I think it's seasonal for me, honestly. But when I was starting to feel that, I was like, I'm not doing that again. No. Like, I don't want it. And so I just forced myself to do the things that I know I enjoy. And like with the job that I had, like I had to basically, I took on a job that I didn't even know if it would be something that I would want to do or not. And I ended up becoming something that I became intensely proud of, like being able to create, like I made, like I was saying, like we made this big garden, a lavender garden with a pea stone lot. We did like a walkway, all this stuff. I never did that stuff growing up. And so it's kind of like finally getting to do like the Madly Man stuff. Like, I know it sounds dumb, but it's just like, it felt very fulfilling to finally to do a lot of those things and to do them well and to have people appreciate it for them. And it motivated me to want to get the show started again and to start doing this with you as well. And that's right around the time you were working on the movie as well. So it's like just trying to really shift your perspective. I gave myself a week after all that crap happened to like kind of like, and then after that was just like, all right, well, what's good about it? What can I find in this situation that's good? And thank God. I mean, I think that's the main thing, is just constantly looking for what's good, even in a shitty situation.
Yeah, I feel that, dude. Like, you don't understand. Like, when you're like, we were talking about routines a minute ago, like how you get stuck in a routine and like a cycle.
Yeah.
And you kind of like with work and a lot of things, a lot of times you get tired, you come home, you want to get something to eat, you relax, you watch some YouTube, whatever, go to sleep. You get stuck in that cycle where it just becomes mundane. And I remember when they told me I had COVID originally, I kind of got excited. I don't want to say I got excited, but I did, because they were like, well, you're off of work for 10 days. And at that moment I was like, yeah, vacation. But I didn't realize how sick it was actually going to be. And it sucked. Trust me, you don't want COVID, people. But at the time I was so excited because I was like, man, I got 10 days to do whatever I want to do. Now, when you're a person like me, whenever you do get vacation time, you happen to use it towards projects anyways, because that's what I love to do. So it was really.
Or you procrastinate and sit around and you go, why did I waste the time?
I'm that type of person. If I took like a 2-week vacation and I went to the Bahamas, I would come back home and be like, I would kind of be depressed, because I know damn well a week of relaxation, like laying on a beach or going to theme parks and stuff like that. Yeah, it's exciting, but at the same time, for me, they would be like, man, if I was there, I'd be like, man, this would be a cool scene to shoot right here.
Yeah.
This, man, this would be. I want to write about my experience. Those
like me, like going out with the camera. People are like, "Don't you want to just relax by the pool?" I'm like, "No, fuck you."
Yeah, like I enjoy it too, but yeah, to me, like staying positive. Another thing about staying positive is cutting off people that you've reached out to, or you constantly are waiting on. I said that, and I've said it before in past conversations, but we have a lot of
learning. Yay!
Yeah, it's coming full circle once again, with our previous videos. But in the past, I found myself like extending myself time and time and time again, whether it's inviting people over or, accepting them for something in a role or whatever it is, to constantly kind of get turned down and ignored, or given excuses, or just basically not given the same energy. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm willing to do all this for you and you're going to give me this for me, is it really worth me putting this much effort into this type of relationship?
Yeah.
And it's a sad reality, because throughout my life, I'm sure throughout anybody who's watching's life, they've had friends or family members, whoever, that I don't want to say disappoint them, but consistently let you down, where they're not supportive for what you're doing, but you're always there for them, and you're wasting a lot of,
You just realize they're not the friends you thought they were.
Exactly. And it's a sad truth. And, you always get surprised, like, damn, like that was a faulty relationship too. But, when you're focused on what you want to do, the great people will come. And I think with that said, I mean, a lot of great people for the past few months have been reaching out and getting involved, because they see that we're here, doing exciting things, and we want to be a part of it too.
And on top of that, like, part of it is also, taking pride in taking the step of, standing up for yourself and not hanging out with that person anymore. Like there were a couple people in the past year who I just stopped talking to, because I began to realize the same thing. I was like, A, I'm putting in a lot more effort than you are, and B, I don't know which version of you I'm going to be meeting today. Is it going to be the cool one, the crazy one, the sad one, the happy one? I don't know. And I don't want to have to figure it out. So when you figure it out, you give me a call. Until then, leave me the fuck alone. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Pardon my language, but like
I totally agree with you. And sometimes
it feels kind of empowering to just be like, I didn't let them leech off of me for another 6 months, which I in the past probably would have done.
Yeah, like I totally agree with you on that one. It's just some people, like, you know what I mean? Like, staying positive sometimes is an internal thing. You can't make everyone like what you're doing. You can't make everyone, support you. But if it's making you happy what you're doing, and you're not hurting and harming anyone, defaming anyone, keep on doing what you're doing, and stay on the right path. Try to think positive, because like right now there's a lot of crazy stuff in the world, and we could keep on thinking of like rainbows and stuff. But I think with the way things are going insanity wise, we're in for a wild ride. And all I could tell the viewers is to embrace it and
to look for the silver lining. Like
mm-hmm.
when you have a terrible situation, you can glean something out of it. Usually it still sucks, but we can get back from it and grow from it.
Absolutely. And with those positive notes, I think this is going to wrap up tonight's episode. And thank you guys for watching our first episode of 2021. I hope you guys are liking the new format. 2022. Holy crap.
No, it's still 2020. Wait. No, it is 2022.
Oh my God. Are we real?
This is what happens. 14 days at home. My brain goes completely jelly.
So thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for next week. We're going to keep it even more high energy, and we are going to talk to you about the issues that matter.
Maybe.
Or not. It's whatever you guys